I'm Stephanie and let's talk books. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 most common formats for US edition books. We're going to go over the general release schedule and also some of the pros and cons of each edition. So the first type of book you'll find is the hardcover. They are a nice large size book. They have a hard cover, hence the name. In the US, you will most commonly find a cloth bound book with a dust jacket. So on the book, it may be a blank cover. Some of the fancier editions may have some sort of design or foiling on the front. You'll have all the information on the spine, and then the dust jacket will have the cover art, the blurb on the back or quotes, a summary on the front inside flap, and then a little bit about the author on the back flap. So in traditional publishing, the hardcover is usually the first edition that comes out. It is also generally the most expensive, usually ranging from $28 to $35 US, depending on the size of the book and the publisher in the market. And a lot of book collectors really like the hardcover just for the aesthetic of them, especially since these spines tend to stay more pristine than some of the other editions. So the next edition is the trade paperback edition. This is a large and rather floppy paperback that has a nice soft cover. It is typically pretty close to the size of the hardcover, although usually a little bit smaller. Now, not every book will go to the trade paperback edition, but if they are going to put out a trade paperback edition, it will come out 1 year after the hardcover, and these usually range between $18 and $20, so a little bit cheaper than the hardcover. I really like these for reading because they're nice and floppy, so they will lay well on any surface. They're great kind of like if you're going to be cuddling on the couch, maybe in a little bit more of an awkward position for a book. I also really like them for taking notes because there is plenty of margin space for writing and underlining. They also don't tend to have the same sort of spine cracking issues that you will see with the smaller mass market paperbacks. And I really do wish that more books were available in this format because I very much like it. And another benefit of this edition is that the font stays fairly large as opposed, again, to the smaller mass market paperback that will tend to have tinier font. This font is going to be much more in line to what you will find in the hardcover. So the last edition is going to be the mass market paperback. These are small, soft cover books that tend to be quite a bit more stiff than the trade paperback editions. A little bit of resistance when you try to open the books. They also tend to have significantly smaller font to compensate for the smaller page size. Mass market paperbacks will typically come out 1 year after the hardback if there's not going to be a trade paperback edition, or 1 year after the trade paperback if there is going to be a trade paperback edition. They are the most affordable books, usually starting around $8 to $10, and they are a nice, convenient travel size. A lot of people enjoy these for their reading copy because they're kind of a nice fit in the hand, easy to take on the go, and also very cheap. They do tend to be inclined to crack on the spine and get these sort of lines when you open the book. Again, because they're stiff, and to really open it flat, you have to get the spine at kind of a funky angle, which means that there's often cracking. If you're someone who is really into a particularly aesthetic library, this may not be the aesthetic that you're going for. Although I will say, growing up, my dad had a fabulous collection of science fiction and fantasy paperbacks, many of them well loved with a beautiful cracked spine, so that's totally okay if that is how you prefer to enjoy your books. Another downfall of the mass market paperback is that if you are a lover of big and chunky, insanely long science fiction and fantasy novels like myself, mass market paperbacks can get just a little bit ridiculous looking. I find that, especially for something as long as The Way of Kings, this is a little hard to handle, a little hard to read. It can be quite difficult to read into where the pages meet on the book because it's harder to get them flat enough to be able to read in there. It's a little bit awkward. Again, especially if you are trying to preserve the spine. And they are also a little bit more inclined to have pages fall out as they get older and more well-read, just because, again, the spine, you have to put more stress on the spine, and they're going to be glued in a little bit less securely than a hardback, which might be glued or even stitched in if it's a really nice one. So that's it for my comparison of the 3 most common US editions of books that you might come into contact with. Of course, there are always special and wonderful and interesting and different sizes of books, including some variation in the size of some of these that you might run into, but these are going to be the ones that you are going to find most often on your bookstore and library shelves. So let me know down in the comment section below, which edition do you prefer to have in your collection? Do you like having a nice copy and then a reading copy that you can kind of trash? Or do you prefer only to have 1 copy of each book? Thanks for watching. So today we're going to be talking about Kate! So today we're going to be talking about, and in the US, Kate! And in the US, you'll, bird! And they're going to, so today we're going to be talking about the 3 most common. Of course, one of the downsides is the cost. They are significant. Kate! 1 year after the, 1 year after, birds! Oh, naughty Kate. Say hi, Finn. This cage does not belong to you. Do you like to go in your big brother's room and play with all his stuff and eat all his snacks? Now you're gonna be shy because I'm filming. Like, I wasn't doing anything. I'm being a good bird.